Robert Downey Jr. is reportedly clashing with the directors in Marvel Studios over Avengers Doomsday, and the reports aren't just about minor disagreements. We're talking reshoots, rewrites, arguments about creative control, and the kind of behind-the-scenes drama that can throw an entire production off schedule. Now, before you roll your eyes, here's the uncomfortable truth. RDJ has an ego. That's not an insult, it's a fact of Hollywood. Every major star gets one, and in Downey's case, it's understandable. He went from an actor nobody in the industry wanted to touch to becoming one of the highest paid stars in history, all thanks to Iron Man. But here's where the debate starts. Fans will tell you that RDJ made Iron Man into a household name. The reality? It was the Marvel machine that elevated him just as much as he elevated the character. Think about it. Did Chris Hemsworth make Thor famous? Or was it the MCU that turned Thor into a global brand? Same with Chris Evans as Captain America. Nobody was lining up for their movies before Marvel Studios put the engine behind them. It's revisionist history to say the MCU wouldn't exist without RDJ. The truth is, Iron Man's box office success over 600 million resurrected Downey's career, not the other way around. And once Avengers hit, every actor's stock in Hollywood went up together. But here's the thing, with that success came leverage, and with leverage comes power. Downey started commanding massive paychecks, rewriting backstories, and demanding creative freedom that almost no other Marvel actor has ever been allowed. Fast forward to today, and that power is colliding headfirst with the reality of making Avengers Doomsday. Here's where the tension really exploded. According to insider Jeff Sneider, Marvel had a plan to work around the limitations of RDJ playing Dr. Doom. Because let's be honest, the Doom armor is massive, clunky, and exhausting to wear for hours on end. Even back in the Iron Man days, Downey hated being stuck in the suit, which is why Marvel quickly pivoted to mostly CGI armor with motion capture. It saved time, saved money, and saved him from endless complaints. So on Avengers Doomsday, the studio tried a similar approach. They brought in a body double and a face double to handle the heavy suit scenes, while Downey stood outside reading lines to guide the performance. Simple, efficient, and exactly how Marvel's handled plenty of big characters before. But after 2 to 3 weeks of shooting, Downey apparently wasn't having it. He stopped production cold and told Marvel, "This isn't working. We're reshooting everything with me in the suit." Let that sink in. Weeks of production, scrapped, millions of dollars, gone. Crews and actors left waiting because one man decided the performance wasn't authentic enough unless it came directly from him. Now, some people might defend this. After all, if Downey feels the essence of Dr. Doom isn't being captured, maybe he's right. Doom isn't a throwaway villain, he's supposed to be the next Thanos-level threat. If anyone understands that the performance has to be perfect, it's him. But at the same time, this isn't a small indie film where reshoots are cheap. This is Marvel's most expensive project yet, and every week of delays piles pressure on the entire production. And here's the kicker. The Russo brothers confirmed that Downey didn't just step back into the MCU to cash a paycheck. He wrote Doom's entire backstory, down to mannerisms, motivations, and even how the character moves. That's an unheard of level of creative freedom in Marvel. So, when he says he wants reshoots, Marvel has little choice but to listen. But of course, giving an actor that much power creates a ripple effect. Directors lose authority, crews get frustrated, other actors start feeling like their input doesn't matter. And suddenly, you've got the kind of on-set dysfunction that can derail even the biggest franchise in Hollywood. Now, here's where the whispers from behind the curtain get ugly. Jeff Sneider didn't just stop at reporting Downey's demand for reshoots. He compared the Avengers Doomsday set to the chaos of the Fast and Furious franchise. And if you've been following Hollywood long enough, you know that is not a flattering comparison. Think about it. Fast and Furious has been one of Universal's biggest cash cows, but behind the scenes, it's been a battlefield. Vin Diesel versus The Rock versus Jason Statham, egos exploding left and right, entire contracts rewritten to make sure no actor ever loses a fight on screen. That's how toxic it got. And now insiders are saying Marvel is dealing with the same level of testosterone and ego clashes on Doomsday. Here's the thing, Marvel has never faced a project of this scale before. The cast list is gigantic. You've got returning legends like Chris Hemsworth and Benedict Cumberbatch, newcomers like Pedro Pascal and John Krasinski, and of course, RDJ stepping back in as Dr. Doom. Each one of these names commands tens of millions of dollars. Each one has their own agents fighting for screen time, and each one knows this movie is going to define their career for the next decade. That's a powder keg waiting to blow, and according to Snyder's sources, it already has. Reports describe a lot of testosterone and a lot of ego on set. Directors trying to hold the line, writers pushing for their vision, but at the end of the day, the one voice that seems to matter most is Robert Downey Jr.'s. If he says something isn't working, it stops. If he wants changes, they happen. It's the kind of dynamic that sounds good when you're hyping up the return of Iron Man's face in a new villain role, but it can also create resentment. Because here's the truth, every actor on that set thinks they know the best path forward. Some want to lean into comedy, others into darker tones. Some want more screen time, and others want to protect their characters from being sidelined. That's normal in a movie this size. But when Marvel gives one man the richest, most recognizable actor in the MCU, the override switch, suddenly, it's not a collaboration anymore. It's Downeys Movie. And that's exactly what people are comparing to Fast and Furious. In that franchise, egos got so big that they literally changed how fight scenes were written. Nobody could lose. Nobody could look weaker. Nobody could come out with less shine than the other. If Marvel isn't careful, Avengers Doomsday could spiral into the same pit. A movie where the script takes a back seat to actor politics. And that's the nightmare scenario because unlike Fast and Furious, this isn't just a popcorn action franchise. This is the MCU's crown jewel. Mess this up, and you don't just ruin one movie, you risk the entire multiverse saga falling apart. Robert Downey Jr. isn't just an actor walking onto set, reading lines, and heading home. According to the Russo brothers, he actually wrote an entire backstory for his version of Dr. Doom, his motivations, his mannerisms, his worldview. That's unheard of in the MCU. No other actor has been given that much creative control. Think about it. When Chris Hemsworth wanted Thor to be sillier, he had to push through with Taika Waititi. When Ryan Reynolds wanted full control over Deadpool, he had to wait until the first movie blew up before Fox handed him the reins. Even Benedict Cumberbatch, who arguably plays one of the MCU's most important characters in Doctor Strange, doesn't have the authority to rewrite lore or demand reshoots because he doesn't like how a scene feels. But RDJ, he's in a different category. He isn't just starring in Avengers Doomsday, he's shaping it. He's dictating how Doom moves, how Doom speaks, even how Doom's armor gets shot on camera. And when he decided that the body double approach wasn't working, he basically shut down production to reshoot entire weeks worth of footage, just so he could wear the suit himself and bring authenticity to the role. On one hand, you can argue that's dedication. Downey knows the stakes of bringing Doom to life, and if he thinks a scene isn't clicking, he has the right to demand it gets fixed. But on the other hand, this level of control creates a ripple effect across the entire cast and crew. When one actor is allowed to bend the rules, others start asking why they can't do the same. Imagine being an actor like Chris Hemsworth, who's been with Marvel for over a decade, but never had the power to veto entire shoot schedules. Or Ryan Reynolds, who essentially is Deadpool, suddenly finding out Downey gets more say over Doom than he does over Wade Wilson. That creates tension, that creates resentment. And that's exactly what insiders are describing. A set buzzing with testosterone, clashing egos, and debates over who truly knows what's best for the story. If Downey gets his way and stamps his vision of Doom onto the film, Marvel might double down on him as the face of the saga, positioning Doom as the new Thanos-level anchor. That means Secret Wars won't just be about multiversal chaos. It'll become a showdown shaped entirely by RDJ's interpretation of this villain. On paper, that could be brilliant. Fans would eat up the irony of Tony Stark's face twisted into the mask of the MCU's greatest monster. But the risk? If that performance feels self-indulgent or overbearing, it won't just drag down one film. It could compromise the emotional climax Marvel has been building toward for over a decade. On the flip side, if Marvel Studios reins him and forces the director's vision over his, trims down his screen time, or sidelines certain rewrites, then there's a danger of alienating the very actor they brought back to spark the hype machine. A fractured Downey Jr. relationship isn't just a casting issue. It would ripple through press tours, merchandise campaigns, fan expectations, and ultimately, the box office. Marvel learned the hard way with Edward Norton's Hulk. No amount of talent is worth a constant tug of war behind the curtain. And then, there's the ensemble. If egos are colliding now, imagine Secret Wars, a film rumored to include every Spider-Man, multiple Wolverines, variants of key Avengers, and even X-Men from Fox's universe. That's not a cast, that's an army. And if Doomsday proves hard to wrangle, Secret Wars could be outright unmanageable. The directors of that movie will either need a miracle-level plan or risk turning Marvel's most ambitious project into another Justice League, overstuffed, uneven, and soured by behind-the-scenes war stories. Marvel's entire multiverse saga rests on one question: can they control the chaos, both on screen and off? If they do, Doomsday and Secret Wars could define a generation of superhero films the way Infinity War and Endgame once did. But if they don't, then Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom won't just be the villain in the movie. He could become the unintentional villain of the MCU's future.